The Cincinnati Bengals travel to New Orleans to face the Saints on Sunday. New Orleans a 7.5-point favorite on BETDAQ, 50.5 the total in this game. The Saints don't lose at home often, but they did lose at home last week in overtime to the San Francisco 49ers, yet they're still favorites of more than a touchdown over the Bengals, a team with a superior record. Cincinnati, after all, 5-3-1 on the season. The Saints just 4-5 now. But Cincinnati not playing their best football at the moment. They were beaten 24-3 by the Cleveland Browns last week, and in their last two road games, those games coming against New England and Indianapolis, two teams with similar pass-first offenses to the Saints, the Bengals were beaten by a combined score of 70-17. So we have seen Cincinnati blown out a couple of times on the road here lately, and let's face it, the Saints usually win at home, and they usually win big. In their last 21 home games against teams with winning records, the Saints 16-5 against the number, despite being favored in 18 of those 21 games. So always a good idea to bet on the Saints at home. I generally like betting on the Saints at home, and it's going to be tough to keep me away from the Saints right here in this spot. I mean, Cincinnati just hasn't been very good this season, not as good as their record would indicate, especially on defense. What has happened to this Bengals defense? They were so good last season, third in the NFL in both yards allowed and points allowed, but entering this week, 30th in yards allowed. Only two teams in the NFL allowing more yards per game than the Cincinnati Bengals. And similar to Carolina, this whole year I've sort of been saying, well, we know the Bengals defense is better than they've been playing. You know, we know the Bengals, any week now, the Bengals are going to come alive on defense. And I know they've had injury issues, especially at the linebacker position lately with Vontaze Burfict and Ray Maluga. But still, I don't think anybody could predict, after seeing this Bengals defense last season, that they would be 30th in the NFL in yards allowed. But we're in week 11 now. It's time to stop saying, well, maybe they'll come around any week now. The season is more than halfway over. This is what they are. They're just not a good defense. Couldn't stop the Cleveland Browns last week from moving it up and down the field. So how in the world are they going to stop the Saints in the Superdome? New Orleans, second in total offense, third in pass yards per game. They're averaging 305 yards per game through the air. Sixth in points scored, 27.9 points per game. I just don't see any way the Bengals are going to slow down the Saints here. And the Bengals offense just isn't good enough to keep up, especially considering the Saints have been playing better defensively over the past month. Over the first month of the season, New Orleans, one of the worst defenses in the NFL, but in their last four games, they're holding their opponents to an average of 21 points per game. Not dominant, but definitely respectable. And Andy Dalton has not been playing well over the past couple of weeks. I just don't think there's many things working in Cincinnati's favor here. I do like the Saints to win this game, and I do think they're going to cover the 7.5-point number.